Right, some massive breaking news reaching us from Liverpool. Matter of hours after their 3-3 draw at Leeds United, Mo Salah has delivered a bombshell interview to journalists. And within that interview, and this is in the mix zone after the game, where he's willingly spoken, he's said, for example, quotes like this: "It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That is how I'm feeling. I think it's very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame." And in terms of his relationship with Arne Slot, he says that the relationship has broken down. There's no relationship between us. It was a very good relationship. Now, all of a sudden, there is no relationship. And when asked, what do you do with the situation now? He said, "It is not acceptable for me. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't get it. I think if this was somewhere else, every club would protect its player. How I see it now is like you throw Mo under the bus because he is the problem in the team now. But I don't think I am the problem. I have done so much for this club." The questions continue, as you would expect, in the mix zone, with incredible interest in what Mo Salah is saying. And he said, "Is this your last game for Liverpool?" Well, he said, "In football, you never know. I don't accept the situation." And again, he reiterates, "I have done so much for the club." We'll go back through more of these quotes from Mo Salah because they are really explosive. They honestly are. But in terms of our own coverage here at Sky Sports, Jamie Redknapp also discussed Salah's future on Saturday Night Football for that 3-3 draw against Leeds before these quotes emerged. And this is what Jamie had to say.
He's probably thinking, why am I not starting? The facts are his form hasn't been good enough. Now, I don't foresee a situation where Liverpool, because I think they would have so much respect for him that they'll be actively trying to move him. I think if he were to happen, it's accelerated really quickly, and if something were to happen as quickly as January, it will come more from him.
Could that happen with the African Cup of Nations, though, going on? Because he's going to disappear after that.
He's going to go away, I think, next week. Is it after?
Week on Monday.
A week on Monday. Anything can happen in football. If he really decides and he speaks to his agent and they go, "Look, it's not sustainable. I don't want to."
Do you think that would be the best solution for everybody then, if that happened in January?
I don't necessarily think in January. I think we've got to just let this settle. But I don't foresee that he'll see out his 2 years of his contract. I think it might be more in the summer if he were to go. When Mo's at his best, of course you want him in that team because he gives you a better balance. Conor Bradley as well, I think will probably say he'd rather have him out there. I think if you ask Dominic Szoboszlai, does he want to play right wing? No, he wants to play as a central player.
Let's just recap some more of these quotes. So just to remind you, these were given in the mix zone after the game at Ellen Road. This is where the players pass through, journalists try and grab a word with them. Mo Salah doesn't often speak, but on this occasion he chose to. And he gave some just absolutely fascinating comments to the journalists that were there. So they asked him what he was thinking sat on the bench. He said, "I didn't know what to say. It's funny, I couldn't believe it." And then when they pressed him on what he couldn't believe, they said that I'm sitting on the bench for 90 minutes. The third time on the bench. I think for the first time in my career, I'm very, very disappointed, to be fair. I've done so much for this club down the years and especially last season. And asked whether this whole situation hurt him. And he said, "Absolutely. After what I've done for the club, it really hurts. You can imagine, really, after going from home to the club, you don't know if you're starting. I know the club too well. I've been here many years." Interestingly, he has mentioned another of our own pundits here at Sky Sports because he's name-checked Jamie Carragher. He says, "Tomorrow Carragher's going to go for me again and again, and that's fine." That is potentially a reference to something that Jamie Carragher said recently, where he said that Mo Salah needs to speak up with Liverpool in such a difficult spell of form recently, with all of those defeats in the last 2 weeks and months as champions of England defending their title. And he was asking Mo Salah to stand up and try and represent the club, because he said the only time that Mo Salah speaks is if he's won the Player of the Match award or if he wants to renew or is close to a contract renewal. Is this situation impossible to solve? I cannot say it's impossible, went on Salah, but from what I feel, I've done so much for the club. I love the fans and the club so much. I don't know what is going to happen next. And then it continues around this notion of him being thrown under the bus and whether someone really wants him out. So he was asked, when you say about someone wanting you out, who? Salah said he didn't know. Then it was put to him, would it be potentially the sporting director? And he rejected that. He didn't really want to talk anymore, but he said, no, don't put the words in my mouth. From the situation I see, that's it. And had anyone communicated to explain this situation to you? I did, but I don't see an explanation. I knew yesterday I wasn't going to play in that sit, so take it and swallow it and go home. He says that Arne Slot knows that he's disappointed. He knows my feeling. And then it gets on to his relationship with the Liverpool boss. Has the relationship broken down? And he's been very, very clear about this. Yes, there's no relationship between us. It was a very good relationship. And now, all of a sudden, there is no relationship. Has something changed behind the scenes? And then he said, you guys know better than me. I don't know. So a wide-ranging set of comments there from Mo Salah, who, as we mentioned before, isn't necessarily someone you hear from a huge amount in the media, in the press. But given the fact that he started this game on the bench for the third game in a row, first of all, talking about how he is deeply disappointed, that he's been thrown under the bus. It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. These are direct quotes from Mo Salah. That is how I am feeling. I think it is very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame. So he's pointing the finger at the club, saying that someone essentially wants him to be the fall guy for Liverpool's current form, and his relationship with the manager Arne Slot that has gone from very good to non-existent, and that this is not acceptable for him. He doesn't understand why it's happening to him. Obviously, we heard it a little bit there when Jamie Redknapp was talking about his potential future, but this really is the clearest indication yet that Mo Salah wants to move on, because it's not going the way he would want it to at Liverpool Football Club with these benched appearances. Is Saudi still on the table? Was one of the quotes that was asked, was one of the questions that was asked him. He said, I don't want to answer this question because the club is going to take me to a different direction, suggesting perhaps that the Saudi Pro League isn't his next destination. So yes, it's quite clear here in these quotes that Mo Salah is pointing the finger at Liverpool, not happy with his situation right now, not just not starting, but that he's given so much to this football club, that he loves this football club, that he loves the fans, but he's incredibly disappointed that his relationship with Arne Slot has totally broken down. But for me, the key quote here, it seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That is how I'm feeling. I think it is very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame.
So a frustrating Arne Slot evening there, and Mo Salah had this to say on Liverpool and the manager. He said, I don't know why this is happening for me. I don't get it. I have done so much for this club. I don't have to go every day fighting for my position because I earned it. I'm not bigger than anyone. I had a good relationship with the manager. All of a sudden, we don't have any relationship. I don't know why. It seems to me that someone doesn't want me in the club. It's very clear that someone wants me to get all the blame. The club promised in the summer a lot of promise for me, and so far I am on the bench for 3 games. All I can say is keep the promises. Ooh, well, very, very spicy words from an understandably frustrated Mo Salah, because if you're talking about some of Liverpool's greatest players, Don Hutchison, then Mo Salah is definitely on that list, despite the fact that he's not been hitting the mark this season. But is this now just pointing to an exit for him?
100%. I don't think there's any way back for him. It was done, I think, in the mix zone. Mo Salah's an intelligent man. He knows exactly what he's doing when he delivers the comments that he made. What you can't do if you play for any football club, especially Liverpool Football Club, is go after the club. You know, you could have differences with a manager, and a lot of what he's saying probably alludes to his personal relationship with Arne Slot when he said he was rotating Mo Salah for the West Ham game. I thought, in all honesty, he should have played him against Sunderland. 3 games later, he's still on the bench, so that can't be rotation. So that's where his frustration's coming from. At the same time, you know, the guys will tell you, if Liverpool have got a right winger and he's in better form than Mo Salah, then you put your hands up and you go, right, I've got to fight for my place. Liverpool are playing Dominic Szoboszlai is a number 10 or a number 8 on the right-hand side in Salah's position. So they're effectively saying a midfield player is better than you or in better form than you. So emotionally, he feels as though he's being let down. What you can't do is deliver those comments as if to say, look, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but he said he's been a great here and he feels as though he's being let down and he doesn't have to fight for his place anymore. You absolutely have to fight for your place. You do not get a starting berth for Liverpool on how great you've been over the last 6, 7, 8 years. You have to earn it. Now, he's not earned it this season, and it's not just Mo Salah, because Konate, I have to say, when you go to today's game, was horrendous. He cost Liverpool 2 goals today. So defending for Liverpool has been awful. There's a lack of bottle at the football club, how to manage a game at Leeds when you're winning 2-0. But we're talking Mo Salah, and we have to. I'm not so sure, Alexis, I see a way back for him now.
Ooh, no way back for Mo Salah. Luis Garcia, I have to come to you as a former Liverpool man yourself. I'm sure this must be frustrating to watch. Just what do you think of it all, this latest result, and seeing Salah speak out so spicily, if you will, about the club and the manager?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see that Salah has to come out and make that kind of statement. I'm a big fan of making a statement publicly and go on a press to go make a complaint about any kind of situation that happened into the dressing room or happened to yourself. I think it's a way of not showing really what you're feeling, to try to send a message, but the best way is to go straight and make a comment or talk to your manager, to your sporting director, to the person at the club. Do you think that you should send a message, but not to the press, that it becomes like a bomb? Because it's not only about you anymore, it's about what is happening to the dressing room. Apart from that, I understand that he can be frustrated. He's a legend of the club. He's one of the most important players in the history of the club. And when you arrive to that situation where the age gets involved with the team not doing well, with the results not arriving, after a fantastic season, suddenly you only score 4 goals in the whole season. Let's not forget, only 4 goals so far for Mo Salah, 2 of them from the penalty spot. So in the end, all the accumulation of situations appears to throw that into the press. And I think that you can see that there is 2 directions. I'm not bigger than anyone, but I already deserve my spot on the team. So you can see that he's really disappointed by the situation and frustrated. I'm not sure what is going to come out from this. I hope that they can have a talk and they can try to address the situation, because definitely Liverpool, what he doesn't need right now is a lot more of noise around the club, and the team needs to get together, because that's the only way that they come out. Let's not forget, only 3 points from the Champions League, and it's true that it's a little bit further away from the top of La Liga, but the most important right now is to get closer to those Champions League positions, because Liverpool out of Champions League, it could be a drama.
Frank, when I started reading the quote from Mo Salah, you immediately said, wow, you're almost taken aback that he was speaking like this about club and the manager.
I was very surprised by it, because I really highly rank Mo Salah, and it's true that he has been one of the best, if it's not the best player that Liverpool have seen for a long time. But you cannot say that. I mean, it says, in fact, he said one thing, and after he said the opposite. He said that he's not asking for anything, but
he's earned his spot.
he earns his position. I think Arne Slot gave him a lot of credit, and everybody talked about it, saying maybe that would be the time to put Mo Salah on the bench just to see how it works, because he's not the Mo Salah we have seen last season, for example. And it's sad for him, but that was the reality of it. And you have the credit, you get some credit, but it doesn't last long in our time, in our sport, because we need result. And as soon as you don't have result, you try to find where it doesn't work. Say, yeah, it doesn't work at the back, but it doesn't work also at front. And Mo Salah, as everybody else, lives in a competition world, and he has to accept that. Yes, he has been a very good player, but since the beginning of the season, he's only the shadow of himself, and Arne Slot has no choice but putting him on the bench. And what he said, it's not fair. It's not fair towards the club. It's not fair towards his teammates, and it's not comment that I would expect from Mo Salah, because I know the guy is normally very humble.
Shaka, as Don said, after this, he doesn't see any way back for Mo Salah. Is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, kind of that way. And listen, we've had Mo Salah making public statements before, Jurgen Klopp and whatnot, and somehow they patch bridges and come up with inflated contracts, and that settled things down. But this time around, now, to everybody's point, your starting position is one that you earn. You earn week in, week out. You don't earn that starting spot today by what you did 2 or 3 seasons ago. And that seemed to be what Mo Salah is suggesting. Now, kind of given the position we are, given the amount of money that Mo Salah continues to command, and given some of his performances in years gone by, you understand that. But right now, was it 5 goals, 3 assists so far this season? Is that the return to pay somebody 300,000-400,000 a week or whatever it is that Mo Salah is on? Now the question then becomes, who can come in and take over that burden financially? Now there's only ever going to be one answer certainly right now, and that's Saudi Arabia. Whether there's an interest in January, time will tell. But given his performances, he's not earning a starting position by his performances. He's certainly not earning a salary by his performances. So if he then kind of speaks out in this way against the club, it's kind of forcing Liverpool down one road and one road only, and that's out.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem. The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first." When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team." As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iza can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iza, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iza's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iza's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iza can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iza brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iza will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Eberechi Iza was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of a knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Eberechi Iza stepped into the spotlight. Iza's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Iza out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Iza is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Iza has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Iza and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because Iza has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Eze had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just one behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Eze is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Eze is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Eze force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Eze's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Eze and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Eze has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Eze, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.